Hey everybody, welcome to the FitHealth Pros channel. I am Coach Sean.
And I am Dr. Kevin.
And we're jumping into our Best Health series, the decade of the 40s. Now, in this Best Health series, you may have seen some of our other videos that preceded this, and hopefully you go ahead and jump into some of the ones after as well. We are going to talk about nutrition, exercise, sleep science, and stress management, and how we can kind of best gauge a better health for each of us.
So let me go ahead and start out with the nutrition aspect. All right, so with nutrition, number one, what you're going to do is definitely recognize some changes there. So we don't want to get into dietary recommendations on what to eat and how to set your diets up and all the different trendy things out there. But in your 40s, what I want to do is kind of explain some changes that you may be having and you may be experiencing, things to look out for. So you want to look out for your metabolism slowing down. Some cholesterol changes too on blood work. You could see cholesterol and blood pressure going up. You also have a greater risk for heart disease and type 2 diabetes. So those are the biggies in the 40s. A lot of people think that, oh, I don't get anything till later on, but we're starting to see, this happening quicker and quicker in life too. So if you're in your 40s, look out for that. We also see that more digestive problems start to show up, like, heartburn, GERD, digestive problems, infrequent bowel movements, things like that. So if you're experiencing those, you want to cut back on processed foods, more fermented foods. And what's good fermented foods? So you have your sauerkraut, right? Yeah,
you got sauerkraut, you got kimchi. If you're into a little exotic flair.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of drinks out there that the kombucha.
Kombucha.
My wife drinks this every day, and I still don't know how to say it. But those fermented foods are definitely going to improve your gut health, and that can actually help with a number of disease processes, because we know that if the gut health, or if you have a leaky gut, you don't have good probiotics and gut health lining, that can lead to a lot of different diseases. So in the 40s, that's where you may start noticing, my stomach hurts a little bit, or I just feel a little weird in the digestive tract. So the probiotics and all that's great. If you're a female, what we want to look at is hormone imbalance. So having things like soy, cruciferous vegetables, those are all great things, and what that does, that'll help with phytoestrogens. Now, we may hear things that say that's all bad, right?
Right.
Right.
Especially if you have had or do have breast cancer or other issues where they're trying to lower your estrogen, we'll stay away from these cruciferous.
Right. So yeah, if you're in that category and you've been tested for that, or you have a family history, definitely stay down. But what most of the studies show, that actually soy, if it's not genetically modified, is perfectly fine for you, and you should be okay for that. And that's going to actually improve with your hormone balances there too. For skin elasticity, in your 40s, especially if you're living in inclement climates, there's a lot of wind, a lot of cold, a lot of heat, dryness. Take antioxidants, cover yourself up, wear a hat more often.
Sunblock.
We may get. I want to talk about sunblocks on another video too, because there's better ones than what you get at the cheap drugstore.
Perfect.
Because some of them can be toxic. But definitely cover yourself. The other thing that we want to definitely look at in the 40s from a dietary standpoint is how much food is on the plate, right? So back in your 20s, maybe there wasn't there probably wasn't a plate. It just kept on going in as you walked around.
Yeah.
But in the 40s, we have to look at portion control, and we have to look at how much calorie intake is happening there. Because what the next thing as far as exercise goes, and Coach Sean's going to get into that, how much calorie intake is going to be a big player in this, and we can go into different nutrition aspects over and over, macros and all that kind of stuff, but let's just start with portion control. That's definitely more important. So other good supplements in the 40s are going to be omegas, so the fish oils. I like a supplement that actually has algae, and so it kind of skips the fish. Right? That's what the fish eat.
We go to the base instead.
Go right to the base. The other thing is if you do have inflammation in your 40s, you may start feeling those aches and pains. Turmeric's real good, but absolutely the omegas start helping with that right away. So that's the basics for nutrition in your 40s. And so moving on to exercises.
So Dr. Fox kind of talked about portion control in terms of the calories. So that's calories going in. Exercise number 2 that we're going to talk about, the calories going out. Why this is important is because with the metabolic and hormonal shifts that we're getting in the 40s, we need to start thinking about changing our regimens. Less pounding on the joints, less high-intensity interval training, and we kind of move away from less intense cardio. With the intense cardio, it actually ups our cortisol levels and gives us diminishing returns as we start aging. So we want to kind of lessen the intense cardio and start raising our amount of strength training. Now that doesn't mean amount of weight that we're lifting, but maybe start adding more strength training workouts in, whereas before it was all non-stop, go, 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 sprint, sprint, sprint. So we're taking that down, adding more strength training. We're looking to keep the muscle mass that you already have. The 40s, we start seeing some of the atrophy come in, so you want to make sure you keep the muscle mass you have, and you can still add muscle mass in the 40s as well. You're looking for better metabolic control, which you get with strength training, better brain function, better blood sugar control. Sometimes in the 40s, that's when diabetic issues start popping up. You want to be able to keep on top of your blood sugar control. You want to also pay better attention to your form in the 40s too. Unfortunately, we don't heal in our 40s quite like we healed quite like we held it in our 20s and 30s.
Mm-hmm. We don't bounce back like we used to.
We don't bounce back. The soreness does not dissipate as quickly as well. So you want to make sure that you are preventing injury, focusing on form. Very, very important. We're also going to focus on longer strength accumulation instead of intensification. Mm-hmm. In our 20s especially, and as athletes, we're always looking to lift the heaviest weight as fast as we can, intensely. So we're not looking for that. We're looking for drawing out how strong we're getting, and not necessarily going for a 300-pound bench press. We're looking to just kind of gradually get to a place of being strong, feeling good in our bodies. You want to decrease spinal loading moves. Dr. Fox is a good one to talk about this, I think.
Yeah, we don't want to have that pressure on the low back to inflame or irritate the disc. Anything where you're leaning forward and bending to the side or even twisting is definitely a no-no on the disc. So we would much rather keep you tuned up than have you come in with an injury, especially to the disc, because that can either be surgery or spinal injections, and that's doesn't feel good at all. It takes you out for an extended period of time, so you're losing productivity, and could cost a lot with the procedures. So it's better just to kind of start taking it easy there and strengthening the other areas that we all know that are going to help you with longevity now.
Absolutely. Hit that core and strengthen this area, this band that goes all the way around from the front to the back, without necessarily loading with weight going to the sides, to the front, to the back.
And I'll add in that it is that important from an exercise standpoint to keep this strong, because it seems that now that we're in our 40s, we may have the kids that have bikes, or you're taking vacations, so you still want to be strong. Whether you're playing with the kids, whether you're doing activities, skiing, jumping, riding bikes, we do things, I think, even at ages now that we would do them earlier in the past. So we still like to do those fun activities, but just on the regular day-to-day stuff, like lifting the bag of trash, right? Putting things in the car, leaning into the car.
Proper techniques.
Proper techniques. And nobody thinks about these things, and as long as you're strong and have flexibility, you're okay not to think about it, and your body's going to usually do the right thing. If we're loading it too much, you know, like Coach Sean said, that diminishing return is going to cause a weakness, and you go and you twist and you take a spoon out of the dishwasher, and boom, you're done.
Yeah.
And
something simple.
I see the majority of patients, their initial injury is somewhere in the 30s and 40s just because of that.
Absolutely. Man, that was good stuff. Did you get a load of this guy? So, and now going back to the type of exercises that I recommend in the 40s, we're going to start playing with tempos a little more. We're going to work increased time under tension. So instead of the amount of weight that you're lifting, I want you to take some of that weight off and increase your time under tension. So what does that mean? That means when you're doing a squat, you're taking a plate off each side and you're going 5 to 7 seconds going down, 5 to 7 seconds coming up. Not only will this help increase your strength, but it will also help increase your strength stamina. And over time, that's going to build up and you're going to feel so much better in your body while protecting your joints, because you are not loading so much heavy weight on at a time in your life where you don't need it. Keep active. It's a lot easier to get out of shape in our 40s. Could have taken a week or two off in your 20s and 30s and then gone right back into boot camp or whatever else high intensity workout that you were doing. It was no problem. You were a little bit sore, but you know, you got back into the swing of things. Your lung capacity, your heart capacity were able to regulate themselves pretty easily during those ages. In the 40s, you take a week or two off, and it takes longer to get back. So not only is that a bummer because it takes longer to get back and in shape, but it also can set you up for injuries. And like we said earlier, it takes longer to come back from those injuries. So it's not about the push, it's about staying in shape in the first place. And if you are out of shape, gradually getting back into shape. Speaking of kind of injury control and injury prevention, this is also a good time, and I talk about this often during these videos, the importance of dynamic and static stretching. The 40s is kind of that linchpin from the 30s to the 50s and beyond, where our flexibility is so important. Because if you can focus on your dynamic and static stretching in your 40s, your 50s and your 60s are going to be so much easier and more flexible than if you don't.
Absolutely. In the 40s, you still have soft tissue that's pliable, and more important, underneath the makeup of the spinal column, and those postural muscles that support the spine are still flexible. As we age, the white tissue, the ligaments that hold that, start to get harder and harder, almost like a dried out rubber band, and then we utilize our moving muscles for posture where we shouldn't. And that's where we start to feel stiffness. I see people in their 50s and their 60s, and their muscles are okay, but everything else is so rigid like a rock, and they think that they can just use a mat and stretch, or use the foam roll, and really what's happening is there's no soft tissue there to foam roll, to stretch. Yeah. Because their ligaments and the tendons along the spine have already deteriorated. And that's why it's important to keep flexibility, because that movement creates a pumping of the discs, and if your discs are well maintained, you're going to have good vertebra height, and that's going to keep your nerves better. So all of those things form a good healthy spine and good function, which then goes back to flexibility. So now's the time. Don't give it up and continue, for sure.
Yeah, man. This is Dr. Fox's episode. As a matter of fact, I'm going to let him talk about sleep science right now.
Sleep science. All right, a little bit on sleep science. So,
crushing it.
Yeah,
you're crushing it.
Here we go.
I'm just going to watch.
So with sleep, Coach Sean, what do you think? I'll let him do this one since I talk too much. So what happens is you have less deep state sleep, so that REM sleep. You're finding it easier now to wake up, and that can disrupt sleep through the night.
Yeah.
The other thing is we find that it's easier to fall asleep, and when we do fall asleep, we may fall asleep earlier, but we're also waking up earlier. So our time of sleep is starting to change, maybe a little be confusing, but when you
shifting that circadian rhythm then.
Right, yeah. And I definitely noticed it where, 6 o'clock comes around and it's no big deal.
You're up.
You pop up. You may not need as much sleep at that point, and that's okay. But recognize some of those other things that we're talking about with exercise and stress management and things like that. Your sleep is more condensed. You may have more frequent nighttime bathroom breaks, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you have a medical condition. It could mean that your mattress needs changed. That's the next one. Softer mattress.
Softer mattress.
For comfort. Ooh, yeah.
Pillow top.
Pillow tops are good. I recommend a lot of that with patients because they're just tossing and turning. They have aches and pains, and the pillow top is a good starter. The foam toppers.
Sure.
Body and brain don't heal as quickly and as fully as it used to. So what's that mean? Well, you might not be getting hydration, so make sure that you're hydrating more and that you're getting good nutrition. Some things that I didn't say in the nutrition, and I'll keep talking, is...
Come on, Dr. Fox, more!
Fruits and vegetables. So the more fruits and vegetables we have, you're going to get your hydration through those as well.
Yes.
Antioxidants for healing. So then if you do feel that you are a super god in the gym and you're in your 40s, you want to have those antioxidants so it doesn't break down and cause that diminishing return.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to say about sleep science. So, but good tidbits there.
Quite a bit, yeah. It's interesting how we're talking about how you have an easier time falling asleep in your 40s because now I'm going into stress management. The 40s have some of the most intense and enduring stress of our lifetimes. It could be related to your job or your kids or aging parents for the first time that you've had to start thinking about, maybe not necessarily into worry mode, but definitely thinking about. Divorce, unfulfilled dreams, financial constraints. Maybe you got a house, a mortgage, and cars, and private school tuition, anything like that. Possible career changes, that midlife crisis where it's like I am unfulfilled with the job I'm doing, so what can I do? What can I change to be more fulfilled in life? That's stressful. Any kind of change like that is pretty stressful. You want to be careful with the types of stress that are coming in the 40s because if you don't keep on top of them, you can increase your chances for physical illness, for colds, for bowel issues, headaches, and the beginnings of heart disease, hardening of the arteries just from not being able to release the stress. So stress builds over time, so you really want to keep tabs on it. You want to, in order to do this, in order to keep tabs on your stress, you would want to keep a personal inventory of the types of stress that you're under, how it affects you, and what the triggers are. In order to do this, I like to do journaling myself. Other people may see a therapist or do some meditation, kind of yoga, anything to kind of clear your mind a little bit and ask a question at the beginning of whatever session of whatever you're doing and go a little deep into it. Why am I feeling like this? Why am I so stressed all the time? And see what answers come back to you. Those answers are what you're gonna work on, what you're gonna attack. So throughout these triggers that you're finding, throughout the different stresses that you're finding, you may find specific people that are causing them. Now, we want to be able to touch upon and fix the things that we can directly affect, but when other people are affecting it, you got to start opening lines of communication with those people. Oftentimes, people don't realize that they are the trigger for you feeling less than or you feeling very stressed. And when you bring it to their attention, they had no idea. They had no idea because oftentimes we are not as important to other people as we think we should be. We should be. And in that line of miscommunication there and expectations, stress becomes heightened. So you want to be able to open those lines of communication and see if you can get a change of behavior, affect change from the other people as well, if possible. That's not always possible. Some people don't like to change and they're not going to change for you. That's life, you know. But if you open that line of communication, you've done what you can for you to affect change. Now, after one of those conversations, you may want to go and do some of these other things that to release some of the stress. Long walks, long baths, soothing music, whatever is good for you, whatever just can kind of melt that stress away.
Yes, I like Metallica.
Yes, that's soothing. It's soothing compared to some of the stuff out there.
No, those are all great ideas and solutions, and that's kind of what we're here for, is to bring solutions. The 40s is right smack in the middle. I was just thinking, as Coach was talking, you may have kids that are approaching their 20s or in their 20s. You may have parents that are in their 60s and still young. And so, you know, stress management and how to deal with different generations, the 40s really do take a lot of that on. And really you're coming into your own adulthood, you know, because your parents may still be young.
Right, and it's very personal.
It's very personal.
It's very personal, because for myself, I didn't have my kid till I was 40. You know?
Yeah, wow.
And so, you know, it's very personal with the changes in professional life and everyday life, and people having kids later, and some people staying a little more traditional. Whatever works for you.
Absolutely. So we're also going to put the information from nutrition, exercise, sleep science, and stress management. We'll put it in a link down below. Did you have any other links or sources that you're going to add? I
believe so, yeah.
Okay.
I also have a couple other articles as well that I want to put on there for links that you can go a little deeper into some of the stuff that we talked about today too.
Yeah. That's what we're here for. That's what we do on every one of these videos, provide even more than what we're talking about here, and hopefully that's really what you're looking for, and we're giving it to you. And if you do, like and subscribe, and we appreciate you spending time with us.
Sure do.
I'm Dr. Kevin.
I'm Coach Sean.
We're the FitHealth Pros, and once again, you know, we're here to help you have your best life possible, and thanks for joining us.
Join us for more.
All right. We'll see you.
Thanks. I can't see. I can't see. I can.
There's a leak in the boat.
There's a leak in the boat. There's a leak in the boat. There's a hole in my bucket.